Imagine families across America, already struggling to put food on the table, suddenly facing even tighter belts because of a heated legal battle over who gets what slice of the federal budget pie. That's the stark reality unfolding right now with the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, a crucial lifeline for millions. Think of it as government help to buy groceries, directly supporting low-income households to avoid hunger and malnutrition. But here's where it gets controversial. The Trump administration is fighting tooth and nail to delay paying out full benefits for November, claiming they need to hoard funds for another program instead. Want to know why this could leave millions in the lurch? Let's dive in and unpack this messy intersection of policy, politics, and people's daily lives. A coalition of local governments and non-profit organizations is rallying before the first U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, pleading for them to uphold a recent court order that demands the Trump administration cough up the complete funds for November's SNAP payments right away. On the flip side, the administration is pushing hard for an emergency halt to that ruling, issued just yesterday by a federal judge. They're arguing that diverting money here would jeopardize other vital safety nets, specifically the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants and Children, WIC, which provides nutrition support to pregnant women, new mums and young kids to ensure healthy starts in life. For beginners wondering about these programs, SNAP is like a debit card for food purchases at stores, averaging around $125 per person monthly, while WIC focuses on targeted nutrition like milk, eggs and fruits for at-risk families. The core dispute boils down to about $4 billion from something called Section 32 of the Agricultural Adjustment Act Amendment of 1935, a pot of funds originally meant to stabilize farm prices but now tapped for emergency nutrition needs. The administration insists these dollars are essential for WIC's roughly $3 billion monthly operations, warning that funneling them to SNAP would create a zero-sum game, essentially robbing one vulnerable group to help another. In their legal filing, they paint a picture of chaos. If every group benefiting from mandatory programs could sue to redirect funds, we'd end up with a tangled web of conflicting court orders, turning the federal budget into a chaotic scramble. It's a compelling argument that highlights the risks of judicial overreach in how money is allocated. But the plaintiffs aren't backing down. In their response filed just yesterday, they call the administration's claims of irreparable harm baseless, pointing out that there's plenty of money left, over $23 billion in the Treasury, to cover both WIC and SNAP, which typically costs about $8.5 billion a month. They accuse the government of ignoring the real suffering this delay causes, like families skipping meals or relying on food banks to survive. To put it in perspective, for a family of 4 on SNAP, partial payments might mean cutting back from essentials like bread and milk, forcing tough choices that could affect health and well-being. This drama escalated during a fiery court hearing yesterday, where Judge John J. McConnell Jr. didn't mince words. He accused the Trump administration of holding back SNAP funds for political gain, a charge that could spark heated debates about whether policy is being weaponized. Last week, the judge had already ruled that the government should dip into emergency reserves to ensure November 1st payments went out on time. Yet the administration opted for only partial funding, citing the need to preserve those reserves for WIC. And this is the part most people miss. President Trump himself had publicly stated his intent to defy prior court orders, linking full SNAP resumption to the end of the ongoing government shutdown, a standoff that's already dragged on longer than any in history, leaving federal workers unpaid and essential services strained. In Thursday's ruling, McConnell firmly rebuked Trump, ordering full November funding by today and calling out what he saw as a deliberate stall tactic. The administration's latest filing tries to spin this as merely stating a fact about lapsed appropriations, shifting blame to Congress to resolve the shutdown crisis. They're urging the appeals court to let the US Department of Agriculture, which runs SNAP, stick with partial payouts and avoid forcing a transfer of billions without guarantees of replenishment. But McConnell shot down their request for a stay, echoing a powerful sentiment. People have gone without for too long. Not making payments to them for even another day is simply unacceptable. It's a human-centered reminder that behind these legal arguments are real lives at stake. As this case heads to the appeals court with a deadline of 4 p.m. Eastern Time today, it raises bigger questions about balancing competing needs in times of fiscal strain. Is it ethical to prioritize one safety net over another, potentially leaving SNAP recipients hungry while protecting WIC? And should courts have the power to dictate how the government spends its money? Or does that undermine executive control and congressional budgeting? What do you think? Does this smack of political gamesmanship? Or is it a necessary, tough call to prevent broader harm? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear if you agree that funding should be equitable across programs, or if there's a counterpoint I'm missing here.